Moving to a new country can be a really, really big change. The culture, language, institutions, acronyms, like so many different areas. Figuring out how much money you have to spend can be one of the very specific and tangible challenges, given that things cost a different amount of money and you're using a different currency and all that. Butterfly is a new budgeting app designed by newcomers for newcomers, offered by Credit Canada. And to talk more about it is Tanvi Chitnis. She is digital strategist at Credit Canada. She joins us now from Toronto. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks for having me.
You have cred here in that you were a newcomer. Tell us a bit about your experience arriving in Canada and what that was like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came to Canada in December of 2017. It was the dead of winter. I arrived as a student, and you sometimes don't know what to expect when you come to a new country. First of all, the weather hits you like a brick. But then other than that, you're met with so many challenges. It's a new country, it's a culture shock. You don't know how the financial system works, and that's similar to what happened with me as well. I did bring some money when I came as a student to Canada. But you never really know how much money is enough or how much you might need. So, for example, when I arrived, I needed to immediately buy a new jacket and new shoes for the winter. They tell you about this stuff when you are in your home country, but when you're actually there, sometimes it isn't enough, right? You need something that's actually from
How
Canada.
cold can it really be?
I
Come
know, right?
on.
Minus
Yeah.
20? Come on.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That's what minus 20 feels like.
Yeah. So, I had to make sure that I had enough money. I budgeted for a winter jacket, for shoes, and you honestly don't think about that when you come to Canada. The other thing was that I was lucky enough to have some family friends who, told me how banks work and things like that. So that was super helpful. But I acknowledge that not everyone has family or friends in Canada. So I think overall my experience was good, but it could have been better if
Mm.
I was made aware of, the different resources that were available to me.
Mm. So you brought that personal experience, and then you talked to lots and lots of newcomers in the development of this new app called Butterfly, which you have led the design and development of that. Tell us what Butterfly is.
Yeah, so Butterfly is a budgeting app for newcomers. It helps them build their financial confidence in a new country. It's been built by newcomers for newcomers. And yeah, it basically we wanted to provide people who come to Canada who experience a culture shock, a hit to their identity. We want to give them a supportive resource, a guidance, to
Mm.
help them navigate the new financial system in Canada.
Some of the things about budgeting are the exact same for every single person, regardless of age or stage or country of origin. And some things are different. Can you highlight some of the things that Butterfly accounts for that are most relevant to newcomers?
So the great thing about Butterfly is that we have some really specific newcomer questions, and these are related to things that you may not budget for. So, for example, we ask questions like, "How much money are you planning on sending back home, if any?" You need to make sure that's a part of your budget going forward. We also provide, averages based on where you live or your household size. That not only helps you see, okay, am I overpaying? But it also helps you plan ahead for the future. So for example, if you've arrived in Toronto, you are renting out a place for 2,500, but on average a one bedroom maybe costs 2,200. Are you overpaying? It kind of makes gets you thinking, okay, what's going on? Have I planned my budget well? Are there any changes that I can make?
Why was it important to you to make Butterfly available in different languages? Why make that investment?
It's because it's important to acknowledge that English is not everyone's first language. People come from so many different countries. It's not that they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't have knowledge about finances. It just might be in a different language, right? So we need we wanted to make sure we provided that support. Butterfly is available in 4 languages, so that's English, French, Spanish, and Hindi. So we wanted to make sure that they feel comfortable navigating the app in that language.
And it is what's called a progressive web app, which means you can do it on your phone or your tablet or your laptop or your desktop. I went on the site, I see how it essentially how it works. Tell us about the sorts of questions that guide you along. Like you're not just having to input numbers without context. There's a whole, it's like a guided journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can access Butterfly, like you said, it's a progressive web app on budgetbutterfly.ca. The app is broken up into 4 different sections. There's the About You section where we ask you about your name, how many people are in your household, where do you live. The second part is about income. Do you have a job or not? How much money is coming into your bank account? Do you have any additional income that you can account for? The third part is the real meat of the app, which is the expenses. It's a guided journey. We ask you questions, we provide you with resources, tool tips, averages the entire way. We ask you questions like how much do you pay for rent? Do you have a vehicle? Have you budgeted for, transportation or eating out, groceries, all those kind of things. And then the last part is the report. So you get a budget report. You're able to do a bird's eye view of your income, your expenses. Are you in a deficit or a surplus? And then we provide you with your recommendations and insights and next steps you can take based on that information. Another great part that we offer during the report is you can convert it to the currency back of your home country. So I think that is one of the greatest features. I would have loved to have that when I came to Canada because newcomers tend to always convert things back in their home currency. So when you get to the report part, you can choose whatever currency you'd like, and you will be able to see that in that currency.
You mentioned that you fill all that stuff in. You may have a surplus, you may have a deficit. I think a lot of people would have a deficit when they do that first
Yeah.
run. Give us some examples of some of the recommendations that the app will offer to help newcomers reduce or eliminate that deficit.
Sure. So if you do end up with a deficit, some of the recommendations could be to go back and take a look at your expenses. Is there something that you are overpaying for? Is there something that you can actually cut down on? Another option would be to increase your income, try and get a side hustle. Is there any way where you can add a little bit extra money to your income to help pay for those expenses if you're not able to bring it down? Some people also come to Canada with some debt or some student loans from back home. If you feel that you're not able to cover, your income is not enough to cover those monthly minimum payments, you can always contact a credit counselor at Credit Canada for free advice. So those are just some of the examples of the recommendations that we provide.
The budgeting process that Credit Canada uses is called sustainable spending. It's got 3 components: analyze, brainstorm, change. In a sentence or two, give us, what the user is going to be doing in each of those 3 steps.
Yeah, absolutely. So when a user puts in their income and expenses, that's where we're asking them to analyze everything. So when they put in one of their expenses, for example, I spent $250 on eating out. Wow, that seems like a lot. Maybe I can do something better. Or wow, I actually have a lot of debt. That's what comes under the analyze part. The brainstorm is thinking out loud ideas on how you can make changes. It doesn't have to be something you commit to just yet. We're just going to be thinking out loud. Is there a way I can, start meal prepping on Saturdays and Sundays to reduce my eating out? Things like that. And then the third part is change. You choose 1 or 2 things that you are committed to changing. So that's the entire approach of the sustainable spending method, is not to have like a restrictive budget, but to make long-term healthy changes so that your plan is more sustainable.
The app is now live. You can go check it out. What has the response been so far from newcomers? You've had a lot of early users testing it. What have you heard?
It's been incredible. I think, especially the features about providing average cost or currency conversion, those are things that really help newcomers feel at home, even if it's a home away from home. They feel more confident. They feel like they have control over their finances, in a new country. So the feedback has been incredible. One thing that we are encouraging people to do is to come back every month and take a look at their budget. It doesn't mean you have to redo the budget all over again, but it is a living thing. You do have to come back and see if any changes have been made. So that is something that we are encouraging people to do.
The app is called Butterfly. It's all about building financial confidence. Anyone can go and access it at budgetbutterfly.ca. And a thank you to the sponsor, the lead sponsor of Butterfly, Interact. You're familiar with that logo. Everybody's seen that logo on their debit card. Interact also has a commitment to making a difference for people in the area of financial confidence. And so I understand, Tanvi, they joined you in sponsoring the app for this Financial Literacy Month. Tanvi Chitnis, thank you very much for joining us to talk about this today.
Thank you, Bruce.
Tanvi Chitnis is with Credit Canada.